again. I'm Bart Riley for another episode of Ideas to Inspire Ideas, where we believe that the best way to move forward is to look backwards. As long as you know how to walk backwards, then you don't run into a wall. I have no idea what this intro is. I should be getting ready for bed, but I just turned the camera on and here we are. Even so, that weird intro kind of connects both to the theme of today's idea, as well as a little thing I'm doing right now, looking back over the series to everything that I inspired, or everything that I found after I released the video that connects to the concept. Insert montage here. Starting with a behind-the-scenes tidbit, back at the very start of this series, I did this thing in editing where I sped everything up so that my ramblings didn't feel so long. But the way I did it, that left some parts out of sync and I hated it, so my first 7 episodes were re-edited, and that meant that I got to sneak an extra honourable mention into my musical video games pitch, Rhythm of the Gods, which I haven't played anyway. Also, I did a callback in my Balan Wonderworld essay saying I wish that game was more musical due to its theatre framework, only to complain about the timing-based gameplay that was included not even 30 seconds later, so bugger me, I guess. My horror racing episode, I found an entire video suggesting other examples that took my idea, but there you go. My game idea of a princess who rescues herself was actually pitched by the recommendation of that same episode, Anita Sarkeesian, in her short animation The Legend of the Last Princess, which is also included in my fanfictions playlist, which was a recommendation from another episode. The major difference between our pitches, though, is she didn't feel the need to force in a male sidekick to make it interesting. My bad. Philosophy smash, I came across Write and Fight, which straight away without thinking I claimed on Twitter, then looked further into it and tried to back out of it due to the reception, then found a little thing that really just squigged me out. That, yeah, don't take this one as a recommendation for the game. The mini ITII included in my psychological games essay. When I was putting it together, I was debating between the Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo game or In Sound Mind from the same year. I went with Vertigo so that I could thematically bring back the original Hitchcock film at the end of the video, but when I did finally play In Sound Mind, it was exactly what I had wanted, a psychological game that looks at smaller trauma in a person's life, rather than big, earth-shattering reveals of a character and such. My timing for last episode, The Mighty Pen, was really horrible when the night before I posted it, I found Pamali, a game that intentionally sets you up to run afoul of specific cultural practices, which I had envisioned happening to a Hollywood filmmaker type, rather than just the casual player. But I actually really like the idea of exploring the horror firsthand in this way. So, cool. And last but not least, the movie that inspired today's episode, Faceless After Dark, co-written and starring Jenna Cannell, who also starred in the film Terrifier, which has a 5.5 hour YouTube analysis video by Gracie Fitzpeter, who I have already recommended in this very series. All of that is connected to a pitch that I have not even pitched yet. So I can't claim to be the inspiration. Then again, I'll throw my hands up saying that Faceless After Dark, in the perspective of the actress in front of the camera, in response to toxic fandoms, has more right to exist than my pitch about the director behind the camera would have more to say on the subject. Like I said, I'm a bit tired. I've got a pre-written plot summary, not as fleshed out as my old Patreon pitches, but I'm not going to do this one off the top of my head. Sorry. Plot. Daniel, an elderly director of psychological thrillers, has grown tired of filmmaking and announces publicly that he will be retiring after his latest film is done with. During the first week of retirement, he notices that his possessions keep going missing and a strange figure has been stalking him, before receiving a cryptic letter threatening him and his family and friends. Despite the letter requesting he not call the police to investigate, he does so anyway. The first logical step of any protagonist in a horror movie, as few of them who actually do it. But while the police are at his house, an old VHS tape of one of his films is left on the doorstep. The tape has in fact been recorded over with footage of Daniel's agent being executed and the killer claiming it is punishment for breaking the rules. You broke the rules. You got the police involved. This is your punishment. For those of you who remember old VHS tapes, there was always a little square that stopped recording over it. You pretty much just have to do sticky tape over the top and it's a fresh tape to record on. This causes the police to send protection to his other friends and family, only to find that they are already kidnapped. Daniel finally goes on his own to find one of his friends tied up in a death trap from another old film. He tries to remember how the film's characters escaped the death trap and proceeds to reenact the film, but his friend is killed anyway. Did you think it would be so easy? Do you think your own films will just give you the answers? These games are not yours. They are mine. You only inspired them. I am better than you. I don't give up. Unlike you. Yeah, that does automatically sound like a Saw plotline. The actual inspiration was the Riddler segments of Batman Arkham City. Just throwing that out there. The next challenge is for Daniel to find the killer in a public area and stop him from escaping. I'm going to be nice. I'm giving you a chance to catch me. I'm here in the open. All you have to do is find me. How? You've seen me before, many times. You just have to remember my face. He finds the killer and receives a big clue, but ends up breaking his leg and letting him escape. I don't think I was working through any personal stuff when I wrote the character names, but leads Daniel into a final confrontation based on his first ever film, in which Daniel himself starred. After being taken down, Bart finally reveals that he wrote a script for Daniel that Daniel never bothered to read, which left Bart depressed and angry. Bart makes one final attack, forcing Daniel to shoot and kill him. After all the police clean up, Daniel goes home to reflect and finally takes a look at Bart's script. This probably come across as justifying Bart's actions, but I mean, nothing can justify kidnapping and murder. More a commentary that anything in life can breed inspiration. Not so subtle plug for this series. Could have done that in the intro. I did have a concept that, like, principal photography is on the story happening right now. Use a B team to film complete scenes from the director's original movies, in the style of old thriller movies throughout the ages, complete with celebrity lookalikes for certain actors.
Everyone from rich white men to wealthy Caucasian fellas to affluent honkies with penises.
Like Harrison Ford, what was that, Runaway? And Bruce Willis. Die Hard, that's a bit more of a blockbuster one. I wouldn't say Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's more the action thriller, less than psychological thriller. Falling Down, whoever he was. Basic Instinct. It's that thing, when you put on the spot, all your knowledge just whooshes out the window. Like, the on-running plot line is the director's work has degraded as his career took off in popularity, unable to move on from his most famous works, yet constantly breaking it and insulting his older fans. He has become sheltered from his audience by constant praise and manipulation, and needs to reconnect to his younger self to win the game. I suppose we can't make the director too old, so maybe 60s, 70s onward, whatever those classics are. Say like 5 named movies in this guy's repertoire from each decade, different period. I suppose Quentin Tarantino, the 90s period for Reservoir Dogs. That obviously you've seen the thumbnail for David Lynch thrillers. Typical young renegade filmmaker who had a passion for making movies versus the older cynical celebrity version. This young creepy fan who grew up with these movies is trying to encourage back out by slaughtering everyone the director cared about. Very twisted, roundabout logic there. Then again, there's a fair case to be made these days that we should let older directors retire and shut up. Just saying. Thanks for watching. This is my verbal declaration that I will not sue anyone for using the previous outline to create their own work, regardless of how much fame or money you might get from it. I'm definitely not the kind of artist who thinks I can own a concept. However, I would like to see what comes out of this video just for comparison and curiosity. If you do make something or find an existing piece that's similar, please let me know through Twitter or Facebook or email, and I'll happily check it out. And if you want to see the ideas I am working on for myself, please visit my Patreon page for samples and previews, no payment required. Happy creating, Bard Riley out. My actual inspiration was Batman Arkham Knight. No, I have not played Arkham Knight.